All right, we are live. Right there is Dennis Yu. Dennis, how you doing today?
What's up, Jason? How you doing?
Doing good. I'm doing good. And Dennis he's got a busy schedule. This guy's hitting 10 different countries in how many weeks is it? 10 and 10 weeks?
10 weeks ish. Yeah, 12
In,
weeks.
insane. So Dennis travels the world. We originally met actually in Tel Aviv a few years back at the DMI Expo, and
hmm
Dennis did an awesome presentation on the dollar a day strategy, which maybe we'll touch on today. But before we
Yeah.
get into that, Dennis, I want to hear about your journey into marketing in the first place, because start wherever you want, because I mean, I'm sure it goes way back. I know you've touched with some sports teams and things like that, but give our
Yeah.
audience an understanding on where Dennis Yu comes from.
So I'm a Chinese math guy who was an introvert, didn't speak English. Long story short, I competed in math competitions and I found that websites were a great thing 30 years ago. And because of that, that got me into building the website for American Airlines, which then got me into Yahoo as one of the first people there as a search engine engineer. And I learned about SEO from the standpoint of the search engine, not from the standpoint of people trying to trick the search engine. So my view is very different, to protect the results. And because of access to all that data and being a data analysis, not a creative opinions kind of guy, but a data optimization, look at these broken things, let's fix those kinds of guy. Then social media came around with lots of data. I was one of the first people on Facebook to run ads. Mark Zuckerberg hates me. We were debating on CNN in front of a lot of people, things like that.
What year was
And
that? What year was that?
that was Cambridge Analytica. So that was what, 2016,
That
2017.
that's when you started first getting onto ads on Facebook? That's when you
Yeah. Well,
started.
ads that started in 2007.
Right.
So I've
So
been
you're
running ads for quite some time.
yeah, 2016 was Cambridge Analytica, that's right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was known for that, better or worse. I didn't want to be a marketing guy or an ads guy. I'm a behind the scenes computer guy, but because the other engineers at Yahoo didn't want to do public speaking, they would send me and I was decent. So I became the guy at the different conferences that would talk about SEO and Facebook ads and whatever it is. And I never wanted to be like I've got the best selling book in social media. It's on TikTok, right? Perry Marshall's a good buddy, and he's it's on Facebook ads, Google. We have the best selling books in every one of these categories. I never wanted to be a public figure or an advertising or marketing person, but you know whatever comes your way. I became famous because of all that Facebook controversy. Why not take it, right?
How many shows do you even know how many shows you've spoken at over the course of your career?
About 800.
800.
That's not counting podcasts and webinars and things like that. That's conference speaking.
Right, right. Wow, that's insane. And, what's your favorite place you've ever spoken at?
Oh, man, that's hard to say. I never think about it as a place. I think
It's
of it as friends that I get to meet and on an ongoing basis, we get to see them over and over. But maybe Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is by
mm,
Digital Marketer, Social Media Marketing World, which is by Michael Stelzner, and that's all the social media people. I like those people a lot.
and they're all
But I
close
really
to
like
home.
the universities. Like the universities
Mm.
invite me to speak, and I've spoken at conferences for universities. Like it's for Stu Kent, or I was in one earlier this year in Orlando, which is for higher education. I love teaching students. Colleges invite me all the time because I can tell great stories and teach their kids about digital and how to start their own agencies while they're at college together with the administration. I love that. So I think about it as the topic and the people, not as like the name of the conference, if that makes sense, or
Yeah.
how cool the venue is. Like you could ask me like, where are all the cool places I've been? And I can tell you all about the airports and hotels. I can tell you like where the power outlets are in any particular airport.
Hilarious. It's funny. Last time when you were on the Merge Marketing podcast with us, you talked about a strategy about diving into a niche and being a
Yeah.
subject matter expert in a niche, and
Yeah.
and you know we've started to deploy that at our agency as well. So I'm starting to speak at some of those niche specific conferences, which I think it's obviously a lot more impactful, I would say, rather than just speaking at a generic digital marketing conference, just from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
100%. I think that was a very interesting direction to take, but one that needs to happen. Because when you've been in this industry for so long and you just take any sort of money that comes your way, it was really tough to niche. It's so much easier now to get into the industry with a business plan to just focus on one area of expertise, right?
Yeah, you got to verticalize. If you're services, you have to verticalize. If you're software, you go horizontal.
Explain that.
So horizontal is when you cover any industry, but you offer a particular kind of expertise, usually technology, like, you know, marketing automation or AI tools, or, you know, even like functional things. Like I've seen other people on your podcast, like Kenya, that do TikTok ads, or people that do SEO, or people do email marketing, copywriting. Those are all functional things because they're horizontal and they cut across all industries. Software is best positioned to do that because they can scale and take on millions of people and, you know, have semi-passive income. Agencies can't do that. I mean, you can be a thought leader in an area and be a figurehead for a SaaS company and maybe make affiliate income, like for Vendasta, for example, or my buddy Larry Kim, who's got customers.ai. Full disclosure, I have equity ownership. Those all work well for software, but if you're providing services in a particular, well, services where people are paying you to do something, ideally on an ongoing basis, like what agencies do, then it's based on the relationships you have in that category. So I was a keynote speaker a few weeks ago at the National Funeral Directors Association.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's the biggest one. And you can tell all the dead jokes and, oh, people are dying, you know, all that, which is great. But there's thousands of these funeral homes, and they paid me a lot of money to be their closing keynote speaker. And they chose me to talk about AI and all that, you know, and how to create content. We can talk about the SEO impacts of all that. But the point is that I don't have an agency that serves funeral homes, but my buddy Welton Hong does. And he's one of the largest players because he owns Ring Ring Marketing. He's got hundreds of funeral homes because he chose to specialize in funeral homes to provide services because he's so well known among funeral homes. He goes to the conferences. He knows the owners. He tells the stories. All his content, like how do you rank an LSA for funeral homes? How do you blog for funeral homes? What's the best strategy for social media for funeral homes? He's dominating on that topic. So if he were to make some stuff like, oh, what you should do on social media, dude, the guy's English is not very good. It was like my English was, you know, years ago. But it's working for him because if you're a funeral home owner, you see him everywhere, right? And so that's grown his agency now to multiple seven figures. I think he's got to be close to 8 figures by now, right?
And
Full disclosure, I've coached him for years.
Especially in industry like such as funeral homes, I'm sure a funeral director or a funeral home owner wants to work with somebody that understands their industry. And
he's got like 300 funeral home clients.
Yeah.
And they stay with him with 99% retention. Because he knows it. He knows exactly what to do. He knows what the campaigns are to capture at need. When, you know, a loved one dies, he knows step by step what works. He knows the performance benchmarks. It's easy for him to replicate that result. It's almost template-like.
It's so easy to fall into a trap as an agency owner or digital marketer to work with the niches that you love to work with, to have the passion for. You know,
that's not a trap if you can actually do it. If you actually can drive the results.
But it's very, very competitive because a lot of other people want to drive into those industries that are attractive, whether it's, you know, e-commerce, fashion, sports, this and that. Nobody thinks I'm going to go after the funeral home niche, you know?
The riches are the niches. Like my buddy Marco Cipolla has grown an agency from nothing to $300,000 a month by focusing on just concrete coating companies, decorative concrete, like making the garage floor shiny of a different color. That's that niche of a company, not even like home services or garage doors or windows or no, just freaking concrete coating companies, epoxy, aspartic, that stuff. He just does that. And it's crazy. It does super well. And so he's in networked with the manufacturers, with the other service providers, with the conferences, like all that, like the super, super narrow niche.
It reminds me of a meme that I saw for a restaurant that won SEO. The restaurant's name is Restaurant Near Me. You just won SEO. But so, you know, one thing I want to talk about, because things have changed quite a bit since the last time we were speaking, and that's the emergence of AI.
Mhm.
and how that's being leveraged best by marketers nowadays. Because obviously, some people, I think every single marketer has touched it in some capacity. But
Mhm.
how should they be using it?
They should be using it as an advisor to help them think through hidden details. So I was with a friend of mine who has a successful plumbing company, Pure Plumbing here in Vegas, yesterday, and they were using AI to generate web pages. So when someone talks about, someone searches emergency plumber because their toilet overflowed or something, or they search Las Vegas air conditioning repair or whatnot, most people don't even have that content. So you can generate content that ranks. And that's what most people are using it for. And it does work right now because generative content from LLMs is all the rage. But I believe that's not going to work in a year from now because everyone else is basically astroturfing the world, if that makes sense to you. They're
Mhm.
just like using the AI to generate stuff. The experts in AI are using it to help them think. For example, I asked it, so I'm going to be with Jay on the Merge Marketing podcast, and you can see that he's interviewed these other kinds of guests. And then we hung out in Tel Aviv a few years ago. What kinds of things can I tell him? Or what kinds of questions do you expect that he might ask me? And what angles should I bring up? And who else should be on my podcast? Should I interview Jay? Or who, like, you can, or I'll upload an article or a transcription of a video and say, okay, I'm turning this transcription into, like you take a YouTube video that we did like a year ago. I want to turn to an article. Please rewrite this, give it a structure, do the headline. And that's what most people do. That's a noob thing. But what the pros do is they say, based on this transcription, what angles did we not cover? What objections do
Mhm.
you think people will have?
Mm.
And
Mm.
why will they think that? Don't just, it's not just generate the content. Like yesterday, I had it generate content on, oh, what was it? It was something to do with like air conditioning. My air conditioning unit is making noises. I don't know, something like that. And it made a bunch of suggestions. And then I said, okay, those are great suggestions, but please explain the logic behind why you chose those particular suggestions. You see what I'm saying?
Taking it that next extra step and doing the correct prompting,
Yeah.
right? And
And then I said,
and
I don't like your output. And you can be mean to it. I mean, don't be an a-hole. I still like, I know people will argue like that it's a robot, but I like to say please with
mm,
the robot, right?
mhm,
Or the AI, whatever you want to call it. Like I
mhm,
humanize it. I view it as
mm,
like the smart colleague of mine. And even though like these robots, you can like hit them with baseball bats or whatever, and they'll still keep moving, I still have to treat it like a human because I
mhm.
find I do get better output when I'm polite.
Really?
And we have the course of a conversation, I'll say, okay, that's pretty good, but I don't really think that's in my voice. And I
Mm,
don't think that's specific enough. I feel like you're being too flowery. You need to be more specific, right? And it'll say, oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me try. It's gonna here. How
mm,
about this? Right.
mm. How do you set up that prompt so it has a Dennis Yu tone of voice? Is there or is there maybe some hacks around that? Because that's one of the things a lot
Yes,
of people are using it
yes.
to create emails. It's like, well, how do you generate the correct tone instead of using these very weird, kind of strange words that ChatGPT will throw out to you?
For people who are watching, I can literally do it and demonstrate it, or I can just talk about it. What do you want to do?
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So first off, go to ChatGPT or Bard or whatever your favorite tool is and type
You
in
can show
who.
me. You can show and talk about it if you
Well,
want.
I'll just talk about it. I mean,
Okay,
whatever.
okay,
It's
cool. All right.
you ask who is Dennis Yu, and it'll
Mhm,
say Dennis Yu is a well-known digital marketer who invented the dollar a day strategy, and he's worked on these kinds of clients and been with these people and done these things and best-selling book and all that. Like it knows who I am, right? But if you ask it who is insert your name, it might not know. It might say, well, as of my data through January 2022, I don't really know that person, but whatever. So if it knows who you are, and I say, I'm Dennis Yu, and I'm going to Dubai to speak at the world's largest technology conference tomorrow, which I am. What things should I say or not say? Like it can do that because it knows who I am. But if you don't do that, then the world is moving towards building personalized LLMs, which is like your
mhm,
own personal chat GPT that's, kind of like learns who you are. That hasn't come yet. Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT, said that will happen very soon. And Elon Musk is saying it too. We think it's going to happen by early next year. So it'll know Jason Hunt. It'll know who you've interviewed. It'll have all that kind of knowledge, but right now it doesn't. And it's behind, and there's privacy concerns and that kind of thing. So you can feed it in. You can feed it in your bio. You can say, before you answer this, you can literally say, don't answer the question yet. I'm going to paste in some things related to like my bio and to my guest and to like whatever it is. And it'll say, and you say, here it is, paste. And it'll say acknowledged. Okay, now for this next thing, acknowledged. And you can even ask it to generate the prompts for you. Say, I don't know what kind of prompts to say, but here's what I'm trying to do. Can you ask me these questions and or suggest some prompts along the way on what I should be asking you? And it can do that.
Yeah, it's funny. Even just before this podcast, I knew I was going to come off the cuff with you, but I always have backup questions just in case. And I said, hey, ChatGPT, go research DennisYu.com. Gives me all the information I need on who Dennis Yu is. And then based on your research, I'm doing a marketing podcast. Jason Hunt's interviewing Dennis Yu. Provide me a list of intriguing questions to ask Dennis. I have them right here in front of me. And it's all, dollar a day strategy,
of course,
balancing act and digital marketing, personal branding versus corporate branding, all these questions, which I might get to, I might not, but I'm armed and ready to go. And I didn't have to do all this thinking, and which would have spent probably an hour of my time at least. Right.
You know what I find? It's helpful. Like the questions there are good. However, those are questions that have already been asked that I've answered many times over, and I'm happy to answer it and that kind of thing. But I'm not saying don't ask ChatGPT those questions. It's the first step. The whole thing with using the AI is not the magic prompt. Let me sell you a set of magic prompts, Jason, for $97. If you act just right now, and you use these prompts, then you'll be able to unlock the power of AI in your voice and generate leads and blah, blah, blah so successfully. That's a bunch of nonsense. It's not the secret prompts or words to say. It's the ability to think empathetically and apply active listening. You cannot sell someone magic words that substitute the need for critical thinking skills. So you, by asking the AI those questions, well, hey, I've got a podcast. I'm interviewing Dennis Yu. What kinds of things can I say that are thoughtful? What kinds of questions can I say maybe that haven't quite been asked, but also kind of tie in with what I'm known for? So it's good for my audience. What should those be? And those answers are great. You look at that, but you're not going to use those. Instead, you're going to say, you're going to think about that and say, oh, that's a good question. But let's go deeper into number 3 that you said there. What do you think? What's the best angle there? Because people have asked that question before. So how can I make that a little bit different? It's like, okay, well, what you can do is, right? Then you're having a conversation. But I find it really takes, you got to crack that nut 3 or 4 times before you get to the interesting part. Don't just take the first thing it gives you. You know what I mean?
100%. Right?
But to take
100%.
it further, it's not the prompt, it's your thinking skills. It's like a good podcaster, Jay, is they ask, you ask a question, they respond, but from their response, you're thinking like, but how did that happen? And what do you think about this? And why do you say it this way? So a great podcaster is a great AI prompter. You can tweet that. That's the way I look at it. That's why all these VAs and people, we call them international partners. That's the word to use. You don't just say like third world country labor or whatever. They're not winning with AI, even though technically all these other people have said, yeah, well, now anybody can use the AI and now it's a level playing field. Yeah, well, anyone can build a website, and that's not exactly changed for these other people that don't have it going on, is it?
100.
It's because they can't think empathetically. The ability to actively listen and show empathy and to be human is actually, those people are the ones who are winning in AI. I've interviewed Charlene Lee, Jeremiah Owyang, Mark Brooks. I've interviewed all the top people, Robert Scoble. I can name drop. I've interviewed all the top people in AI who are the technology producers behind the stuff. And they are saying it is who is empathetic and can think actively and has empathetic is in like you're listening to the results and you're asking smart questions instead of like me. I'm a salesperson. Book a call with me. Buy my stuff now. Coupons, deals, buy now. Those people are not going to win with AI. They're generating garbage.
Those people are not going to win, period, with the age and time that we're in right now, even with
but they think the new tool is it's like the latest weight loss scam. Fat people fall for it every time. just
Mhm.
like all the new tools that have come out in the last 30 years. Every time there's some new thing every year that's supposed to revolutionize things. And maybe it's just because I'm old and stubborn, but I've never seen it happen. And I don't think it's going to happen this way with the AI either.
Mm.
Just another set of tools, smarter
Who's
tools now.
who's um who's most in fear of their jobs with the emergence of ChatGPT and AI?
In our
And
space, it's anyone doing digital marketing. So the agencies are the ones who are running scared.
Mhm,
Because if you break down the agencies, they're mostly salespeople. And then on the operations side, it's a lot of white label operations on tool driven expertise. It's basically people that are, I think of them as like DJs. They don't actually make the music, they press play, right?
mhm,
Or they're, I don't even say like coffee baristas. They're like people who operate Keurig machines, right? Whatever your
mhm,
morning routine is, you make coffee, you put the thing in the pod and you press the button and it brews. That's what agencies are being exposed as. If the AI tools are easy enough where you don't have to go grind your own coffee and select the like all the there's like, let's assume that you're a coffee expert and there's this whole thing about creating the perfect cup of coffee that requires expertise. Now you can take that little pod, stick it in the machine, press the button. That's what digital marketing has now become
mm.
for the operator side. But what does matter the most is the ingredients. My buddy Amir Yale runs Difference Coffee. It's the world's best tasting coffee. It literally is. It's $2,000 a pound. The stuff that wins at auction, not the $15 Starbucks stuff or Tim Hortons.
It's
And
pretty good too, come on.
it's good too. Yeah, I've even had freaking poutine at Tim Hortons, which people get, or or over at McDonald's in Canada, people get mad at me for that. But here's the deal: is that it's the ingredients that matter the most, not who's pressing the button.
Mm.
So my buddy Amir of Difference Coffee has these little Nespresso pods, and this you could go. Are you a food snob?
I like my food. I do.
Have
I
Have
try
you been to
everything.
Michelin restaurants? You know what Michelin star restaurants are?
Yep, yep.
Those are like the best restaurants, right?
Mhm.
The number one coffee being used at Michelin star restaurants is Difference Coffee, and they're using
Let's go.
espresso, like freaking instant coffee, little espresso pods. Why?
Mm,
Because it's the best quality coffee. You can take shit coffee, or you can take bad, good, okay coffee, put it through a $10,000 machine. It won't produce coffee as good because of the ingredients that are in those little pods. So when you
mm,
go to a Michelin star restaurant, the most popular coffee is made by this coffee company because it's
mm.
the ingredients. It's not the machine or the person pressing the button. And that's the analogy for digital marketing and all these tools.
There is value in the barista being educated on how to direct that consumer to the correct coffee that matches their palate,
Yes, and that's
right?
consultative, but that's not
Right.
the product itself. And that's why all
Mm,
products are services and all services are products.
mhm, mhm. All products are services, and all services are products.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Think about that because
mhm,
you run an agency and you have to have standardized processes to be able to scale. Now you look like a product. You look like a
mm,
productized service, which is like a SaaS. And all
mhm,
product companies, to your point, have to show connections with the customers, have some kind of onboarding, have some kind of way of understanding why that person has a particular issue and how their product solves that. They look like a service. So everything is a product and a service. I have this Whoop device. This looks like a product, right? It tells me how I slept and did I exercise and my HRV and all that, which is great. But if I don't pay for the monthly service, it literally won't work for me, right?
mm,
Any product you buy now is becoming a service because those guys need to have MRR, which is ongoing monthly recurring revenue, right?
mhm, mhm,
All product, like literally all products are services, and now all services are products. You name it.
mhm.
And we can
So
show how it's also the other thing.
so the big winners with the emergence of ChatGPT and AI are the people that are adapting it, adapting to it. The marketing managers, the marketing directors in companies that are adapting to it and becoming subject matter experts in it.
Yeah, and the big story is just like the internet, right? Oh, well, 30 years ago, if you didn't move from the yellow pages to the internet, and 15 years ago, if you didn't move to social media, okay, I mean, that's generally true. And the same as you can say about AI, but it's just another tool to, just like freaking Microsoft Office was a tool that came out that allowed you to make spreadsheets and resumes and PowerPoints, right?
Mhm.
But it's just another tool. I think it's the user of the tool that matters the most. So I play basketball a lot, right? And if I were to play one-on-one against name your favorite basketball player, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, whatever, I'd get my ass kicked.
Mm.
Even if I had the best Nike shoes out there and he was wearing flip-flops, right? I would still lose, right?
Mm.
So how
Yeah,
much of an impact is it that on the tool versus the user of the tool?
mm.
It's
Mhm.
always the ingredients, right?
Mm.
Tiger
Interesting.
Woods with a $5 rusty, 9-iron from the Salvation Army can beat me with a full set of Titleists.
Let's dive into ingredients for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Because, you're a big proponent of the dollar a day strategy. Is it still prevalent? Still
It's
prevalent being able to
stronger than
start
ever, and
stronger than
even
ever?
more so because of the death of cookies and, the data being taken away from us in iOS 17 and all that kind of stuff. The
Yeah.
ingredients are the most important. If you have good ingredients and you multiply them, then it'll work for you. It's a multiplier of obviously you put something into the box, it multiplies, gives you 10 more of that. That's what the dollar a day strategy is. It just happens to look like advertising, even though it's not. It's a testing strategy.
Can
If
we
you
give
put something, yeah, go ahead.
for our audience just a high level understanding of the dollar a day strategy? If you're in Canada, it's a $2 a day strategy, but go ahead. What is it? What is the dollar a day strategy in a nutshell?
Dollar a day is a testing strategy that will give you more of whatever you put into the machine. More leads, more audience, more traffic, more of whatever. But what you put into the machine must be ingredients that are working. I pioneered this thing. If you literally Google it or ask ChatGPT, 17 years ago, started testing this thing on Facebook and Google. And we found that dollar a day works on every channel. So when you take the ingredients, which are goals, content, and targeting, not just, if you're a startup or you have a new product or something new, like there's no clear signal or proof of where there's some kind of market fit or content that's working or product that's selling. Like there needs to be a signal of something that's working, and then you can get more of that. So we've applied it to a basketball team, the Golden State Warriors. We've applied it to a furniture company, Ashley Furniture. We've applied it to this plumbing company. Because they have happy clients to talk about them. So then we put $1 a day into the machine. And when I say the machine, that means any kind of like algorithmically driven thing like LinkedIn, Facebook,
Mm.
Amazon, all these other places. And then the machine goes and finds other people that are like the people that have bought. And so we look good, and the other people that apply dollar a day look good, like these magical digital marketing experts that drive more sales and leads, because the system does the work for us. If we've passed through the conversion, via leads bridge, ads API, offline conversions, all the different ways of passing back the signal, tying in with our CRM data. If we pass that back to Facebook and Google, it will find more of it. But if we're launching a new campaign, I'm trying Dennis's dollar a day strategy and I have this new business idea. Well, there's no clear signal of conversion, so the system can't get you more of what you want, right? Dollar a day is help the system give you more of the thing that you want, sales of something, because you're feeding in examples of what's working. And then you make variations of that. And dollar a day is also a testing strategy to find more variations. You can't argue with the fundamentals of the internet. It's like, oh, well, Dennis, you thinks the dollar a day is like, no, you can't argue with it. This is how these systems were built around this concept.
I think a lot of people overlook the opportunity to be able to use that dollar a day strategy just for simple testing the title of a book, not expecting any ROI from it, but use it simply for testing headlines, testing
Mhm.
names of products that you're going to launch,
Yeah.
testing names for a company.
Testing images, testing landing pages, testing buttons, testing copy, yeah. There's all these different things that go into success. And if you can't isolate what it is, maybe it's because you have a certain figurehead. Maybe it's your price point. Maybe it's the competitors. Maybe, whatever. It's some feature you have. If you don't know, and most people, they think they know, they don't know. I don't even know. And every time I've been doing this for a long time, right? I don't know. So we let the system tell us. But unless you break it into the components of goals, content, and targeting, you have no way of isolating what actually created the change.
Goals, content, and targeting. In terms of just the goals, right? A realistic goal would just be engagement. Especially with a budget like that, optimizing for leads isn't realistic at $1 a day.
Well, dollar a day scales to $10 a day and $100 a day. And we
Right.
spent $1
Hard
million
to-
a day using this strategy, but we scale it up. It
Right.
starts with engagement. You're right. Because if we agree that short video, like mobile cell phone kind of video, is the key to driving leads through whatever system, then the first 2 seconds is the most important part, because it doesn't matter what you
Mm,
say if people skipped
mhm.
after the first 2 seconds. So if you run dollar a day against 10 posts to find out who actually is initially engaging, that's important,
Mm.
because it doesn't matter like how well the thing converts or whatever it is, like if they don't get past the first 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Do you find just getting into the nitty gritty of it for a second?
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important objective to look at? Obviously, you're going to pick landing page views, optimizing for landing page views over clicks, because when you optimize for clicks, you're telling the
The lower in
algorithm.
the funnel, the better, for sure. But then you have less data and it takes more money to get there. And the networks, meaning Google and Facebook and whatever, charge you more. So you have this like triple compounding, triple whammy kind of thing where it costs you more. So the first stage of dollar a day is testing for engagement. And we're looking for 10% as the benchmark. So I need 10% of people to like, comment, and share, engage, watch the video to the end, click on the thing. I need 10% of people to do that. If I don't get at least 10%, it can't move to the next stage, which is then testing for conversion, for leads, for cost per call, for getting people into the CRM, whatever it might be.
So you'll grab the winner from your dollar a day test, and grab only the winners and create a new campaign optimizing for that conversion with the winners. Right?
Because objectives are by campaign. And then I can combine different winning ingredients, different headlines, different body copy, different calls to action, different whatever, because everything is combinations, right?
Now, talking about, the bowl of Dennis's marketing soup, you look at Meta as one of those ingredients. Now, you're rolling the same strategy out on LinkedIn, TikTok.
Yeah.
So
So
tell me about the other
Google, for
platforms.
example, is Performance Max. Why did Google come out with Performance Max? So that you can load up all these creatives and allowing the system to do basically dynamic ads, right? Google in the next, or Facebook in the next couple of weeks is releasing AI generated dynamic ads, taking your creatives and making different variations of them. It's the same thing. LinkedIn and Twitter and these other guys are a little bit behind because they haven't figured this part out of optimization because they don't even pull in that data to allow the system to optimize to the actual conversion. So they're behind, but Google and Facebook and TikTok are leading the way right now for anyone who is doing any kind of advertising or marketing. The exception being Amazon if you're selling a product, but they don't don't give you any data back.
Let's talk about the TikTok ingredient now. Do you find it being very successful, and how does it differentiate itself from Meta? Because obviously it's a different platform. The behaviors on TikTok are I think much different than other platforms. So how are you navigating your ads on that platform?
So demographically, things are becoming similar because the same things people said about Facebook when they launched were said about TikTok until they became general. Now the average age on TikTok is mid-30s of people who are consuming but not producing. The producers do tend to be slightly younger now, but the biggest difference is that there's a big penalty if you're not using vertical video that's authentic. On Facebook, you can even still get away with horrible looking ads that are still obviously ads, and like you can't get away with like using your TV commercials anymore. Like that did work for a while. But the authentic cell phone style video is the key on TikTok. And I wrote in my best-selling book with Perry Marshall on this, on Spark ads. And the TikTok team told us, full disclosure, they paid me a lot of money to write this book, that Spark ads are 60 cents of every dollar, meaning you can boost someone else's post. Your customers say good things about you. You can reach out to them, get their permission, boost that one post of theirs, or repurpose what they had to say, which is word of mouth marketing, right?
That's Spark. So Spark ads are essentially grabbing your content, your ad, and publishing it through the channels of your influencers or fans.
You're boosting someone else's post. That existing post on their channel you can boost with if they give you the code.
So UGC, user generated content, would
is
be a good
UGC at scale, and that's what the whole point of dollar a day is let your customers do the work for you. Not what you have to say, not only while you say how amazing your stuff is, but it's more credibility. And it allows you to, if you have different kinds of customer avatars and you have videos of these customers or behind the scenes with them, or you working with them, or them using your product or service, of course that's going to work better. TikTok just made it easier to be able to do that. We've always been able to do that on every single channel, but there's been such a burden in collecting the UGC and processing it and turning the ads and driving leads off of it. TikTok's just made it a lot easier, and they have facial recognition built into the platform where they can recognize who your friends are. And as of my best knowledge, talking with engineers at Google, YouTube doesn't do that yet, or at least that's what they claim. They're going based on people who watch this video might also want to watch that video, but they don't see like, oh, that's Jason Hunt, that's Dennis Yu. Let's find people who follow them because they're more likely to engage, right? I was with Jake Paul and we made 300 videos together. This thing's about to launch. And
Really?
yeah, you're going to see it. And I posted on TikTok, one of our guys posted on TikTok. We were, you know, at his house, and TikTok recognized that it was his house. And then it attracted all these other people that, you know, that's the whole, like, we didn't have Jake Paul in that particular video, but it was his house, and it attracted all these Jake Paul people.
How did you get connected to Jake Paul?
He reached out to me, and
You
other
reached
people in
it.
this network reached out to me saying, "Hey, I want to create a course for young adults on how to be influencers, how to use social media to their advantage." And we're calling it the Financial Freedom Movement. We failed before, but I talked to, you know, Dan Fleshman and Brad Lee and Mark Lack, and all of them say that you're the guy. So help me.
Mm,
So I did.
mm. And so it's a new course launching on how to
It's called
provide
the
influencers with financial freedom.
It's the financial freedom movement. So young adults are disillusioned with the whole
Yeah,
university, go to college thing. They
yeah,
think it's a scam. And I said,
yeah.
let's not say scam. We have a lot of
No.
friends who at different universities. Let's just say that you've got to take certain matters into your own hands, and you have to take advantage of the connections you can make. You have to make money as a young adult, use social media, start your own agency. Here's how you start agencies. Here's how you start a YouTube channel. Here's how you get to stay at a hotel for free if you know, become a big deal. And here's how you work with them. And here's how you hire more people. And here's how much you should charge. And here's our network of other folks like Tommy Mello runs A1 Garage. If you can show that you can get certified in our program, Tommy is the #1 home services business, has thousands of people that do home services like garage doors and roofs and whatnot that will hire you guys. And that's what
Mm,
Jake and I said. And then I made a video with Tommy saying, all
mm,
you home services and garage door guys and whatever it is, you know that digital marketing is such a pain in the butt, and you're getting screwed by your agency. Well, we have a partnership with Jake Paul, and you can hire from this group of people, right, that have gone through
mm,
Dennis Yu's training on how to do dollar a day and whatnot, and it's transparent and all that. And you should hire someone from this program. So we have people on either side. We have the leaders of industry, like the funeral home people. And I told them on stage, you should hire people that are certified.
mm,
Right. And then to the young adults, we say, get certified because you're going to get jobs from these people. So we're creating both sides. You follow me?
mm, mhm.
Just like you want to fly an airplane. If you're going to a flight training school, they're in partnership with the airlines. So if you get the certification as a pilot, you have a job as a pilot. You go to
Mm.
medical school, that's working with the hospitals. You want to fix cars, you become a mechanic. They're working with the dealerships and auto repair. Like both sides are together.
Eliminates the need for having to rely on sales, right? When you have that
Right.
connection automatically, right?
Yeah.
That
And everyone,
certification.
doesn't matter what business you're in, you just bring together the supply and demand side, and you won't ever have to cold call again.
Mm, mhm. Interesting. And also interesting to hear that Jake Paul is diversifying his portfolio.
Well, he started initially, and there's tons and tons of videos where I'm interviewing him, and he basically says, yeah, the way I got started as a young influencer doing silly things is not what I want to be known for when I'm 40.
Mm,
And I said, what do you want to be known for? I want to be known that I've helped other kids that were in my exact same situation be able to create a career for themselves and be able to, have a great life with their friends and make money on the internet, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and all that. I want to
mhm.
be able to see if I can just help a few people there, that would make my life worthwhile, that I've inspired them and connected them and educated them. And that's why we created this movement. It's called the Financial Freedom Movement, blah, 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 blah. Right?
Okay. Looking into the crystal ball now. Okay. Because a lot of the stuff we're talking about is stuff that's happening today, right?
Right.
But where are things going to trend in, say, the next 2 years? All right. Because things are moving at an
Yeah.
exponential rate
Yep.
right now,
Yep.
right? So
And
where are we
even
looking at?
faster they'll be. My head's spinning trying to predict this. I mean, it's almost not even useful to try to predict it, but here's what you can generally assume. The tools that we're using now are not the tools we're going to be using in 2 years from now, because every tool we use now is integrating AI components. If you take that to its logical end of everything, having AI built in, so you're not using ChatGPT or whatever separately. It's all these other tools that are smart and they all talk to each other. There's going to be the rise of intelligent agents. That means I have, there's the Dennis U bot that acts as my kind of, what's the concierge, if you will, that does things for me, that buys things for me, that knows what I want to do, that represents me in booking flights, that talks to clients for me, that just handles my life. Because there's so, like, all the other products and services out there think of it as like this place infested with parasites, that with mosquitoes that want to bite you to death. And all these companies are using these AI tools. Like, we need, each of us as consumers, we need our own robot, our own protection layer, our own AI, whatever, concierge to handle things for us, so that my robot will negotiate with your robot on
Mm,
when we're going to meet and what we're going to eat. And are we going to go play basketball or golf? And which model of car should I buy? And my agent is going to go do all these things on my behalf. Because if I'm trying to do it as a human, if I'm trying to make all these decisions myself as a human, and everything out there is AI powered, I'll just be overloaded. Like, I won't be
mm,
able to navigate, make decisions, because it's already too complicated. And the AI knows, if it knows me, if the AI has my goals, content, and targeting, which is my strategy, and
mm,
like me personally, the things that I want to do as a consumer, and if the AI for my company, because of course we want an agent for our company, and it understands the goals, content, and targeting, which the ingredients, the whole, like, how is your company different, and what kind of customers do you want, who do you serve through what kind of value proposition. If the AI has that, it can go and negotiate on my behalf. It can configure the software. It can write my content. It can edit my videos. It can do all these sorts of things. If that's the case, and if you believe that intelligent agents for consumers and businesses are coming, what's the role of the agency then?
mm, mhm. The agency will have to pivot to something else. The agency will look totally different,
Yeah,
right? The agency will be a lot smaller, a lot leaner, right?
maybe more efficient,
Mm,
not necessarily smaller or leaner. I think
mm,
they're going to end up being bigger. I think you're going to have a few agencies by vertical. Each vertical will have one trusted agency, and that will, and because it's a winner take all. Anytime you have technology, the winners make more and the losers die, right?
mhm.
Technology doesn't democratize. Technology puts money in the hands of a few people and takes it away from everyone else. You know this.
Do you think that some of the people that are going to be somewhat threatened would be VAs in other countries, outsourced
So what we
VAs?
say is that AI is not going to take away your job. It'll take away the jobs of the people that refuse to use AI.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, it's almost like going to be the expectation. It's a package deal that you're getting anytime you hire somebody. They have to have
Yeah. It's
their
like when
themselves in
computers
the
came
box.
out. You had to
Yeah.
be able to type when computers came out, right? And
Yeah.
now we can type with our thumbs and our fingers. And it's not even a question on can you type, right?
Mm,
Like, before you asked me to come on this podcast the first time, you didn't say something like, "Well, Dennis, do you speak good English?" Yeah, my English is actually not bad, right? Or, do you know something about the internet? Or, like, you never, that it's just like, you just know, it's a given. So this whole, like, being able to work with intelligent agents and AI and whatever, it's not a skill that people are going to ask for. It's a requirement, and it's so fundamental that it's not even going to, like, like, why would you even ask it?
exactly.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite ways right now that I'm using AI is I use Otter AI to record conversations,
Yeah.
and I put that link into ChatGPT and give me the key insights from our conversation, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And
Otter's great. I like Descript even more.
yeah, Descript's great too. I use Descript for a lot of podcast editing.
Yeah.
It's great for that and adding captions and things like that. But with the Otter AI, putting that link in the chat GPT and having it give me the insights, and
Yeah.
then I give it some more prompts based on that to dive deeper, like we discussed,
Uh-huh.
into some of those insights, and then providing me an outline for a proposal. It's just like
That's an
these are,
intelligent agent, right? That's a use of an
yeah,
intelligent agent. But think
mhm,
about how much smarter it could be if it knew more about you and if it automatically had all that
exactly right, and it
and
helps out.
integrated with
Yeah.
all the other tools to take action. Because right now, you're just having a conversation with ChatGPT. Imagine
Mhm.
you could say, okay, that's great. You have all these suggestions. Now implement.
Mm, mhm. That's next
Now go
level.
out and do the scheduling. Now go out and build the web pages. Now edit the videos. Now do everything. And then by telling your agent, your butler, think of it as like an executive assistant who's super smart that knows everything. That that tool, that agent will go out and handle it across all the tools, like whatever is necessary. Project manage the thing all the way through to the end. It's
Amazing.
not science fiction. That's coming within the next year.
Yeah, it's Dennis, talking to you is always thought provoking, and I love having these conversations with you. But got to be cognizant of your time, and I want our audience to know where they can get in touch with you if they have any questions.
You can Google me and you'll see a full knowledge panel pop up. And then wherever you want to hang out, you want to reach me on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can ask ChatGPT and we can have a conversation with the virtual dentist. I want to see how you guys are using these tools. I want to see what you think about the conversation Jay and I had, right? I'm always
Mm.
checking the comments and the real dentist is checking the comments. So I want to know.
Drop
Reach
your
out.
comments and get in touch with the U-Bot if you want to talk to the U-Bot. All right, Dennis, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
And we